I'm going to be talking about diffusing LEDs today, and you're going to see how incredibly messy the incredibly messy workspace can get. I'll be pulling a lot of stuff in and out, but we're starting with a basic circuit. This is a white LED, and this is connected to a sewable battery holder that has a CR2032 battery in it. I like these because they're switchable. So you have a light, and you can probably tell it's really bright and pinpointy. I'll turn my light off here. So, what do you do with these guys? How do you get a little bit of an even glow? I'm going to show you some things that you might have around the house and that you can easily pick up just because we're in a pandemic and shopping is tough, I know. So we're going to see what we can do with stuff I have around the house today. I'm going to turn this off. Well, before I turn that off briefly, um, I'm going to show you another LED I have here. Now, you'll probably remember that LEDs have two legs on them, and the longer leg is positive, and the shorter leg is negative. Now, this guy, I have actually sanded the outside of the LED, outside of the housing. There's nothing like hitting the wrong button on your light. So, we're going to go back to this. I have a blue LED, and it takes a little more current than this baby wants, but than this battery holder will provide. But as you can maybe tell, it's more of a diffused glow because of the sanding on here. Now, there are some other things you can use, and I'm going to turn my light off for this. This is an LED tea candle. I know it's really hard to tell. I wish this camera were a little bit better. But this has a nice diffused glow. Ah, this is better. This has a nice diffused glow. And these things are cheap. They use a CR2032 battery. You can buy them at the dollar store. You can even incorporate them into other projects. I bought this guy at the dollar store. I'll turn off the light so you can see this. It has its own candlestick because here's what happens when you remove the candle.
Put the candle back.
So yes, that's a fun little project. So the next thing I want to show you is just household things. Let me bring my LED back here. Turn it on. A paper towel. Exciting, isn't it? But you see the difference in diffusion here from a fairly bright light to a more diffused light. And if you move your diffusing material off your light, you're going to get a little more diffusion. That's always important to know. Okay, milk bottles make really good diffusion. This is a glue container, which is made out of the same stuff as a milk bottle. And you notice it gives really good diffusion. And if you happen to drink milk or use it in your recipes, there you go. This is a piece of EVA foam. It's 2mm EVA foam. Somewhere here I have a piece of packing foam. I'm sure it will show up in a minute. Grocery bag. That also does a pretty good job of diffusion. Again, we're talking about stuff you find around the house. This is a toothbrush case, and it's plastic. The lid is a translucent plastic, a little bit like what you'd find on a milk jug, but more solid, sturdy. This is just a little tool flower, and I'm experimenting with a decoration for a costume. So that does a really good job of diffusing, as you can see. Another thing, this is frosted glass. And y'all are pretty aware of how well frosted glass can diffuse. And I have here we go. Frosted glass paint is a thing. And this is just a bit that landed on the edge of dried on the edge of the can. And it kind of diffuses and diffracts, which makes it kind of cool. It gives it a little bit of a gem-like quality. It may be hard to tell. The next thing I want to show you is a flower. This is a little flower that I bought at the craft store. And there's LED down in here. I actually built it off of a candle, one of those little tea lights. And we did this as a take and make project when you were at a convention. We put a magnet on the back so people could do fun things with them. The little stamen here helps with the diffusion. That's a nifty little project, and it runs off a CR2032 battery again. So, I mean, those things are very abundant right now, which I actually like. Um, this is another costuming project. It looks kind of ratty, but it was a stage prop, and so you only saw the bolts. And what we did was we had a convention with kind of a Frankenstein theme, and our three conchers each wore these neck bolts, and we had them light up so they, could come alive. We had a whole Frankenstein's lab thing go on. We had red, green, and blue neck bolts. And these are, my husband did these, they're 3D printed. And the neck band is 3D printed. And it was fairly easy to put together as far as those things go. Using resin as a diffuser. This is a project I'm working on. It's a little galaxy. It's kind of hard to tell, but let me turn this off. This is going to be an Orion's belt. And I made this resin galaxy. There's a video on Facebook where I put it together. And it's got glitter and alcohol ink pigments inside and glitter. And so it does kind of look like a little galaxy. And I've also been experimenting with some other resin pieces. And I'm going to see if I can get these to light up. I'm not entirely sure. No, that one did. That's the back. This is the front. That's what it looks like with the lights out and with the lights on. And I used a lot of glitter and alcohol ink on this. And I'm watching this to see if the alcohol ink shifts any. I've been hearing that they might shift colors when they're in resin, so I'm a little bit worried. I used some slightly different pigments in this one. There we go. And that's got a little bit different look to it. But I just did layers and layers of ink, and then I made the back part a lot lighter, so it would, I mean, not lighter, darker, so the lights would show up a little better. This was my first attempt at resin, embedding lights in resin, and as you can see, I'm not entirely happy with it, but There is some diffusion. The embedding didn't go very well because I was just learning to work with resin, but I think I could do a better job of this. I used a silicone candy mold for that, and it came out. The stars themselves came out very well, but everything else was kind of a mess. And here's a piece of foam that I had in a little box. And I'll just show you that stuff diffuses really well. So there's a lot you can find around your house for diffusing LEDs, and I encourage you to experiment and figure out exactly how things work because that's really how we learn. So, thank you for joining me today, and be sure and like and subscribe. It's kind of the lifeblood for creators like me right now. And thank you very much for joining us. See you next time.